Good afternoon, welcome to Advertising Week Europe. Now, I'm afraid this just say a lot about me. When I saw the name of the firm my next guest works for, as an English journalist, I must admit, I thought, oh, this is going to be a good one, this. The name of the company is Pubmatic, but it has nothing to do with alcohol, and I'm blaming you for that.
Okay.
Emma Newman, who's the country manager of the company. So there's no alcohol involved at the moment, maybe afterwards.
Maybe after 9 o'clock.
After 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tell us about what Pubmatic does.
So, in very simple terms, we are a technology platform that was born about 10 years ago with the idea, or the mission, if you like, of enabling digital publishers to really get the full value of their digital asset. Originally, we were an SSP, which is a supply-side platform. We've expanded into other areas, but really all focused on helping publishers, be successful in today's quite difficult time.
What is one of the most fundamental ways data has transformed the industry, would you say?
I think that the evolution and the ability to access real-time data, both if you're a supply-side player or a publisher, or a demand player, so an agency or a brand, has given back control of the performance and effectiveness of digital media, again, both from a content and from an advertising perspective, to those publishers and the agencies and the brands. So the ability to monitor what's actually happening whilst it is happening, as opposed to getting data 24 hours after the fact, means that you can optimize in real time, which will result in a much better consumer experience, because they'll see much more relevant and engaging content and advertising. That better consumer experience then leads to a higher ROI for the advertiser, because they're optimizing what they're delivering to that consumer in real time. That then obviously leads to a better commercial experience for the publisher, which has got to be good for the media industry all round.
I suppose not that long ago, things like data and analytics were seen as the absolute enemies of creativity.
Yeah.
That's no longer the case. What would you say the change has been? Why has that happened?
I think that real creativity is about engaging someone and driving a reaction of some kind. So it's not just necessarily about what the ad or the creative looks like. It's much more about how does that make somebody feel. Now, in order to be able to really do that, you have to deliver the ad in context. So, there's that old thing about the right ad in front of the right person at the right time in the right place. And I think that's what actually data and analytics has enabled creative directors, media planners and buyers, and even editorial and content teams to do. So far from removing creativity, I think it's actually enhancing creativity by driving it to the next level.
And how critical is actually targeting the audience you're talking to? Because that's become far more finessed, and it's something that you can do so easily now, isn't it? I mean, every time I pop on a certain, a web browser or whatever, something I may have looked at only a few seconds before seems to pop up, and it tells me I've been looking at that. It's that intuitive now, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, it is, and I think it is really critical to be able to, again, target people in an unobtrusive way. I mean, you don't want to be that ad that chases you around the internet, promoting something that you bought 4 days ago. But I think the ability, again, to be able to understand what the consumer is doing to a certain extent, where they're doing it, how they're engaging, means that then if you can then target them with the right message at the right time, that's got to be better for them. Because
so
ultimately,
it's a fine line between intrusion and targeting them in a way that's going to work for you and for your customers.
Yeah, I think that the whole thing that data does and that targeting does is it enables you, if you're using it correctly, and there are lots of rules and regulations that have been put in place, and quite rightly so that you don't become obtrusive or annoying, although some people would still argue that maybe some of it is. I think that is really important.
And how do you see, what are the big trends in your area at the moment? I mean, and is the UK, like it is in a lot of the areas we're seeing here at Adweek Europe, leading the way in your area?
I think that if I look at it from a programmatic perspective, I think the UK is very sophisticated, probably more so than some other markets, although some are catching up. There are some markets in Europe that are probably a little bit more open to trying new things. The Nordics are very progressive. The Netherlands are very progressive. Other markets, maybe not so much, quite more conservative. I think the UK has got that fine balance between being able to be progressive, take chances, whilst also really learning and understanding what's happening. So from a programmatic perspective, I would agree that the UK is fairly well advanced.
What would you say the challenges are still facing big data today?
I think there's a couple of things, really. I think that one of the challenges is about that fine balance between how to tell a story. So I'm in advertising, and ultimately advertising and editorial and content is really about storytelling. And there are two sides to be able to tell a story. There's the art and there's the science. And I think that data really enables the science element of it. I do think that we need to be careful not to lose the art side of things. So, you know, people talk about paralysis by analysis and hiding behind the computer, and computer says no. So I think we have to be careful of that. But I also think that we need to make sure that we balance that data-driven approach by not forgetting that fundamentally we're all human beings. We're trying to talk to other human beings. So that gut feel that you sometimes get because you've been in the industry for 20-odd years probably shouldn't be ignored. And I do think we need to be careful about that. I think the other challenge that data could potentially think about is how is data, or can data be used as a currency? So I think as a consumer, we've been doing it for a while. We've been handing over quite happily data in return for free content. But how do we take that one stage further to make it more of a B2B currency? So how do businesses potentially exchange and trade data?
Finally, how important is an event like this one here?
Adweek? I think it's enormously important. I think it's important because it helps to highlight, to your point earlier, how fundamentally core to the UK's success advertising and creativity in the media industry is, from a pure GDP perspective. So I think it's really good to be able to reinforce that. I think it's really good to look around and see all of this, new stuff that frankly terrifies me, be given a stage upon which people can learn more about it. I think for young people moving into the industry, it gives them a 360 view of what advertising is. It's not all, Mad Men and 5-hour lunches anymore. So there's a lot more to it than that.
What a shame.
I know, bugger. Oh, sorry, shouldn't have said that. So I think it's really, really important.
Well, look, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of the event. I do have to say, I'm afraid, as a journalist, talking to somebody from Pubmatic, we're sat in a bar. This may end messily. That's all I can tell you.